So the season might be coming to an end, so join me for one last time at the historic Brooklands Museum for their Motorsport Day. Hope you enjoy the cars we're about to see, and hopefully we'll see some of them in action as well. So just what is it about the Austin A30 and 35 series cars that makes them so special? Is it the cute looks? Is it the fact that they were actually used in touring cars and can be a bit of a giant slayer? Back in the day, and even now in historic touring car racing, they are quite revered. What an incredible car. So hopefully just after this we'll get the chance to see that car going up the hill, so hang on for that. So this is a Turnac Cosworth from 1963, and it is the 1964 British Championship winning car, winning 15 rounds out of 17. It absolutely annihilated the opposition in the hands of John Miles. An absolutely iconic car, promising, it says 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. Well, I've no doubt that that is absolutely the case. Looks well used and well raced, and still ready for anything you can throw at it today. But that one sounds good, doesn't it, when it's fired up? So this is one of the pretty rare, at least in the UK, Auto Bianchis. This is an Abarth version. Now, Auto Bianchi was a joint venture between Fiat, Pirelli and the bicycle company Bianchi. A bit of a test bed. I think Fiat's first front-wheel drive car was an Auto Bianchi. This is a little beauty, isn't it? It's certainly got some echoes of styling of other cars of the period. I think the back of these look a bit maxi, but that's obviously just my personal opinion. Or a bit of a modern day Mini, but whatever, it's rare to see the A112 Bianchi in the UK. So you're not going to see a Fiat 131 every day, especially one that looks like this. It's a 131 Stradale. It's a recreation of the cars that would have been entered into the World Rally Championships. Fiat won in 77, 78 and 80. What a beautiful looking car. Look at the size of the wheels on it. Probably get a better look round the back. Some lovely features. Obviously Bertoni. I'm not sure Bertoni assembled or Bertoni designed. It is in immaculate condition. It's going to be coming up for sale at Iconic Auctions in November. I may not be putting a bid in for that one, but look at the size of the tyres on that. That is quite a car. The Abarth badging at the back. Wow, that is one car that you would just love to have in your collection, knowing that it's got quite a motorsport pedigree. Haven't they done a good job with that? So this Capri Mark II originally started out with it as a 1600 XL, believe it or not, but since the 70s, pretty much it's been used as a race car. It's got a 5.7 litre Ford engine with a supercharger, and it was used in competition in Jersey. It's now in the mainland, sometimes returns there for competition. As you would expect, pretty stripped out in there, but as the owner tells me, doesn't really conform to many of the noise regs these days, so it's more for exhibitions and events like this at Brooklands. But incredible car. Well, we'll see if we can catch that one going up the hill at some stage, because I bet it sounds immense. So the Lancia Stratos with the Ferrari engine originally. Well, this one's got an Italian connection. It's got the Busso engine in the car. This one is a Hawk. There's quite a few recreations of these about. I think Hawk is the better known one. There's two of the cars here today. We're going to see this one going up the hill, hopefully, very shortly. Wow, that is an iconic shape, isn't it? So this is a truly special car. It's a Metro 6R4 6-cylinder rally four-wheel drive. That's what the 6R4 apparently stands for. This one was driven by Colin McRae and co-driver Nicky Grist. It's got an engine loosely based, I think, on a Rover V8 engine, but massively modified. It is a truly race prepared engine, built in limited numbers for Group B racing at the time. Group B then, in actual fact, was disbanded due to safety concerns, so unfortunately never really saw much rally action in the day, and was able to compete in Group B because the Group B series had gone. What an epic looking rally vehicle that is. So built around a space frame is this Peter Baldwin Mini Special. So the Silhouette series, the racing series, a guy called Peter Baldwin raced this car. This is a faithful recreation of that car, originally I think with an 848cc engine, then progressing to a BDA engine. It's got, love the period livery on here, Wendy Wools. Who remembers those? If there's any knitters amongst you, then I'm sure you'll let me know. The interesting thing is that this car, at least the original of this car, was used in a BBC TV series called Driving Ambition. Now, whilst the original car does reside now in Japan, this faithful recreation is here to remind us what it looked like, and it's a very faithful one by the look of it. That looks great, doesn't it? So the Fiat 124 was remarkable at launch, used in I think all-wheel disc brakes and coil-sprung suspension. But this is the Motorsport version, or certainly somebody's adapted it for Motorsport with those super wide arches there. They've done a great job. I tell you what, it looks really well prepared, I must admit, certainly in terms of the look of the car. And with that Revy Fiat engine, I guess it's probably well suited to it, although the box design wouldn't necessarily give the game away that this was a bit of a performance car. So this X300 XJ has got quite a lot of punch with it, and we'll see it when it goes up the track very shortly. It's the V12. It is no slouch, believe you me. Got an extra bit of cooling in there. I suspect it's seen the tuner's spanner stroke laptop computer, but yeah, without further ado, let's see that one in action. So the mirror image livery on this car can only mean, I guess, that you can see it when it's going sideways behind you. I don't know, is that what it's all about? If you know, then by all means please let me know, because I haven't got a clue. Nevertheless, it certainly stands out in this company today at Brooklands, doesn't it? Wow. So you wouldn't necessarily expect to see martini stripes on a Caterham 7. So the 7 originally was the Lotus 7, the rights being sold to Caterham many years ago. But this car is quite an early one. It's a 77, and it's got quite a history. So if we take a look at the back of the car, it's a pretty rudimentary aero screens there. It's obviously quite a place to be, and it's featured in the Hot Car Performance magazine back in September 1981, so it's had quite a well documented drag and sprint career, and it's here today, and it's going to be run around the circuit. So another car that's lived a life is this Austin Mini Cooper S. It's a 1275cc car, and it was actually assembled at a CKD, complete knockdown plant, owned by BMC in Blackheath, South Africa. Then re-imported, or imported, exported if you like, back to Germany, restored there, nut and bolt, bit of career history, and then finally made its way back to the UK. Apparently it is one of the very rare number of Cooper S's that were actually built in South Africa. And it's palm green, and I think with an old English white roof, and looks absolutely glorious condition, doesn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I like that. Not a lot to dislike with those. So this apparently was the motor show launch car and also the development car for TVR. It's the 350C with the Almelin designed engine. Now these cars are absolutely built without compromise at all. Styling wise, TVR really went their own way. There's a rumour that on one of the models, Peter Wheeler's dog, Peter who owned TVR, took a bite out of one of the clay models and it remained in there for the styling. Whether it's true or urban myth, I don't know. Got these lovely doors that scallop into the side here. Look at that. It's just a car that wouldn't necessarily get produced today. All sorts of reasons why you couldn't. Let's take a look inside. So we open the car here underneath, touching underneath the mirror, and we'll just have a look inside here. Beautiful quilted door panels, T350C tread plates, lovely quilted leather, really high transmission tunnel up there, and look at all the dials are pretty much milled aluminium, nothing out the parts bin. What a car. We'll probably never see its like again. Well, there are some truly special cars here, and this Lamborghini Hurricane Evo looks incredible in that paint scheme. I absolutely love these paint schemes where somebody's gone away from the usual yellow or green that you can get Lamborghinis in, and they've really done a job on this one, haven't they, with this sort of lilac paint. It really shouts out. It's not everybody's choice, I know, but it just seems to work with the curves. Some of the curves on this car, particularly those at the back, if we just crouch down here, it really means business, doesn't it? So this beauty is a Ferrari Roma, replacement for the Portofino. It's got something like 600 brake horsepower, twin turbocharged engine. To my mind, I actually quite like these. I do think they are incredibly pretty. Interesting, look at the hood. The hood is, at first sight it's red, actually it's black and red on close-up, a black and red sort of checked scheme, which gives it a sort of a different colour depending at what angle you look at it. Interesting styling on the rear, but for me the real action with the Roma is at the front end, and I think that front end sort of shark type nose does give it a real character. Sort of a bit McLaren in there as well, isn't it, perhaps? And this is the original Fiat 124 Coupe, badged Abarth in this case. Is it one? I don't know. Well, it looks as if it could be. This is the real deal, the original ones that Fiat made, not the later Mazda Fiat corporations. And I don't see too many of these about. It's a left-hand drive car, so I guess that's probably never sold in the UK at the time. So while this looks perhaps just like a livery, in actual fact this is one of the Trofeo Race Series Abarths that were built. I think lots of celebs drove these in the race series back at the launch. Something like 190 brake horsepower, weighing less than a ton, 970 kilos or something. Incredible. It's a bit of a tight fit in there with the cage, but this is a properly race prepared car. It's certainly not got less go than it has show. It's got both go and show. Yeah, incredible rear spoiler on there, isn't it? Let's take a look at that one. Try and get a shot from the back with Concorde in the background. What's not to like, eh? Doesn't that look fantastic? So this beautiful Corvette C1 is not a very early car, which I think had the single headlamps. This one's, looking at the registration number and checking, that's from 59. Some beautiful features on this one, aren't there? I mean, this, look at that statement that the grille makes down there. Just the sort of aggression that that projects. Plenty of chrome, as you would expect. The chrome continues right the way from the headlamp, right the way up into the bonnet. Those gills on the side. It is an absolutely incredible looking car, isn't it? Look how the front window actually curves all the way round. You just don't see things like that anymore, do you? Certainly it must have really cut a dash in the late 50s when this car was new. I think that I think we better have a look inside it as well, haven't we? I mean, that's it in full front three-quarter view. We'll just have a look around the back. I love how the lamps, I'm not sure how practical they are to be seen, but how they curve into the rear wings like that. and then obviously inside looks incredible as well, doesn't it? What a car. That doesn't sound half bad, even at these speeds. So a 1934 Bentley, owned by the current owner's granddad. Apparently it was reshelled at some stage in its history, but what an epic looking car this one is, isn't it? We'll just have a quick look inside. That must be quite a feat to actually drive that in modern day traffic anyway. Beautiful condition now, isn't it? Hopefully we'll see this one on the track a bit later with a bit of luck. So this is an original UK Alfa Romeo Julia 1600 Spider from 1963. Only about 400 right-hand drive vehicles were ever made. Absolutely lovely condition. Got the 4-cylinder 1570cc all-alloy engine, and built in what would be considered relatively small numbers these days. Clearly we've got the coat of arms of Milan and the serpent on the badge, as you'd expect from any Alfa Romeo of any period, but it is a beautiful, beautiful looking car, isn't it? What a stunning place to be. Lancia Bea Coupe, from the Beta family but unrecognisably related in terms of the sedans. This looks absolutely lovely. Now, I used to go to school in one of these many years ago, and trust me, there's not that much leg room in there, I can tell you that much. I still remember that to this day. But this is a beautiful example in white, isn't it? Some lovely features there. I do love the badging on these as well. What a lovely coupe. So Ford built the RS500 Sierra Cosworth for homologation purposes. 500 units produced, larger turbocharger, slightly different engine and suspension. I think the power differences were relatively small, but it did give Ford the ability to tune the engine more for competition purposes, and I think that was really the desire behind it. I think even there might have been a different ECU. Pretty rare to see the 500s of these days and becoming super valuable, but it looks like this one's in pretty much in everyday use. Lovely. So this is pretty, this sort of tangerine coloured, I don't know what you call it actually. I'm sure there's a very flamboyant Italian name for this 105 series Alfa. I think it's classed as the GTV because it's got the 1750 engine. Put it in the comments if you know more than I do. I'm sure you do if you're an Alfa aficionado. Got the cloverleaf on the back there. It's beautifully prepared, isn't it? Pretty little cars, aren't they? Wow, in full Ferrari livery, Service Corsa Ferrari, Modena, Italy. Well, it may not have been used by Ferrari, but in actual fact it does look rather nice, doesn't it? Somebody's obviously put a great deal of time and effort into this recreation, this little Fiat van. It's even got a Ferrari badge on the back. Lovely. So the Alfa Romeo SZ was built on a shortened Alfa 75 platform. I think in the early days of Fiat ownership. Does divide opinion. The panels are unique to it. I think they're glass reinforced plastic, something like that, GRP. There is some debate as to whether Zagato just assembled the car or actually designed it. So I'm not quite sure. I've read both in the past, so I'm not quite sure about that. The one thing is, with those fabulous interior, it's a special place to be in, and they are pretty rare cars these days, becoming appreciated. The designer still divides opinion, but nevertheless we're glad that we had the opportunity to see that one today. So if you want to stand out from the crowd, an Aston Martin DB5 is a good way to do it, but what about a purple one like this? Well, it's the first time I've seen one of these in this colour. It's a right-hand drive car, it's a UK car. Doesn't it look amazing? It must have been a brave choice to choose that colour back when it was new. It's a C, so if that registration is correct and it's not a private reg, that would make it 65, 66. Doesn't it look amazing? In that very small club of Ferraris that are not painted red is this fabulous 360 Spider. Let's have a peek at the engine just because we can. Spider, eminently usable. This is the automatic or semi-automatic model, I think, with the paddle shifts. Well, it does look absolutely resplendent in that colour, doesn't it? That really suits it. It works for me anyway. This looks resplendent in white, doesn't it? An Alfa Julia 1.3 Ti. This pretty iconic shape at the back. They don't look like a driver's car, but apparently they are a driver's car. It's square box design. The rear screen wraps round, and they go quite a bit, especially when Alphaholics have put their tuning kits on them. But wow, it's lovely to see that. So this might look like a Porsche 911. In actual fact, it's a Porsche 912. Built mainly for the US market to give them an entry point to the range. The somewhat cheaper 912 has got the 1.6 flat 4 engine from the last of the 356s, so probably not quite as much go, but nevertheless still an incredibly desirable car with its chrome steel wheels, left-hand drive. Obviously, I say it looks like a US supplied vehicle. Looks resplendent in that beautiful forest green colour, doesn't it? That's lovely. So this can only be one thing. It's a Dodge Viper V10 engine. I think had a relatively long, sort of 20 odd years production life. What an incredible car. I did hear this coming in, but unfortunately I didn't manage to grab any footage of it. But look at that. Good Lord. It's like a truck engine, isn't it? It's absolutely massive. Quite a handful, I can imagine. Now, these are at least 400 brake horsepower minimum. Some are considerably more than that, I believe. But it really is a statement car, that one, and it's got the right registration, H9 VPR. There you go, all American muscle car. So apparently this race car replica Metro is the only supercharged Mark II Metro in existence, or so it says, and the supercharger is coming out next week apparently for an upgrade if it wasn't fast enough already. It is running the iconic data post livery that was run in the touring car series back many years ago, and it looks like it's got early MG Metro wheels on it. So this Ace Rood was delivered to its original owner Colin Rood, hence the Rood Speed in the title, back in 1954. He ran it, I think it says, until about 1960, and then it was discovered again in a Birmingham garden in 2002, and it's been completely restored. Well, they've done a cracking job on it. It was believed to be one of the fastest road legal cars in the UK for quite some time, and I can believe it. It's fabulously prepared now, isn't it? So this is a Jaret Jupiter. I think they only built around 900 of these, but this one's got quite a story. It's called Jessica. So XBV 450 was registered in 1951, taken off the road in 1952 due to overheating, and then quite a story ensued in actual fact. It was put into storage, the barn it was housed in was struck by lightning, then burnt down, and the car was driven out into a quarry, then left covered in sand, and then eventually it has been taken back to, I think it says Pebble Beach standard, so Pebble Beach Concourse standard, and isn't it beautiful? Built in Bradford all those years ago, and this particular one has been resurrected in such a way that it is probably virtually as new standard inside there. Lovely bench seat, column gear change, that great, I think that's the radio at the bottom, I'm not quite sure about that one actually. It says it's a class winner at Le Mans, and I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. Well, Jaret Jupiter Jessica, you look an absolute treat, don't you? That's lovely. So built just a few miles away from Brooklands down the road here is the 2024 BTCC championship winning BMW 330. It's got the sequential gearbox, about 400 brake horsepower from a 4-cylinder engine. Not quite in the same vein as the cars that we remember from probably the 80s and 90s in British Touring Car Championships, but nevertheless spectacularly impressive. There's a spoiler that's bigger than many dinner tables. Obviously, clearly a full cage in there. Still badged as 330e, though I'm not quite sure what the hybrid part of this has got to play. But I absolutely love the livery, don't you? I think that looks incredible. Wow, there's no doubt that that looks absolutely spectacular, doesn't it? So Ferrari 812 Superfast is a pretty special car to start with, but this particular one has been used, I think, for charity, and it's in the Guinness Book of Records, making an attempt for the highest number of signatures on a vehicle. Wow, well, I'm pretty sure that you're absolutely going to consider this a one-off. I wouldn't want to take the wrap off at the end of it. It's a piece of history, isn't it? And there's the Guinness Book of Records World Record Attempt sticker in the back window. There can't be too many people who've got those. Super. What a very unusual Ferrari that one is. So from one type of Ferrari to another, a 296 GTS. That's something else, isn't it? Wow, I do actually like the design. Got some lovely features. Look at the air intakes, how they're fed into the lights. I don't know if the camera's picking it up too well there. Beautiful, and the fact that it's green is a big tick in the box for me, especially when it's got a beige leather interior. Does look immense, doesn't it? Those buttresses going back down to the engine. You've really got to slowly drink in the styling of that one, because it is really beautiful, isn't it? So Volvo only campaigned the 850 wagon or estate for, I think, maybe only for a season, but the amount of publicity it gave them and the amount of derision it caused at the time and upset from some of the competitors was absolutely incredible. I mean, despite this very short competition history in the Securico Amiga livery, it is absolutely iconic. A number of people have used this livery to convert normal road cars. It certainly stands out. Well, that one does anyway, doesn't it? So this is a faithful creation of the MG ZS that MG Rover campaigned with Anthony Reid when they returned to racing, that flurry of activity. Sponsored by Hot Wheels. That's I guess that's quite appropriate. This particular one is for sale. We'll just linger over that. You'll need to pause the video if you want to buy yourself an MG ZS BTCC replica and really stand out at Sainsbury's or wherever. What a great looking car, isn't it? So it's really lovely to see a Ford Anglia race prepared. It's got the splitter at the front. The bumpers have been removed here. It's got the passenger seat delete, although it looks like it's got the remnants of the rear seat in there as well. It looks rather well, doesn't it? I suspect it's packing more than the 1200 cc engine it was badged with, maybe one of the BDA Ford units. Doesn't that look great? And what's behind it is a Ford Transit support vehicle, so what's not to like about that little train set? Lovely. So Fiat 131, or Mia Fiore if you like. I think it was sold in the UK as the Mia Fiore. This is an Italian registered car. It needs a little bit of work in there, to be fair. It shows the model name here. Now, I don't speak any Italian, no surprise there probably to people that know me, but it is the 2000 TC Climatizzata. Does that mean it's got aircon? Who knows? So if you know a bit more Italian than I do, and it's probably likely, then put me out my misery in the comments and tell me exactly what this car is all about. So this is an absolutely beautiful AC Bristol. So what do AC have to do with Bristol? Well, apparently Bristol provided the engine, which itself I believe was based on blueprints from a BMW engine, to which they've right after the war, I think. So quite a strange combination, but what a beautiful car. Absolutely stunning condition, that car, isn't it? So we'll We'll try and get a closer look at that one. I love that grille at the front. Really does look a treat, doesn't it? It says some people collect art, we race it. Well, I cannot disagree with you, and if I had one, that's exactly what I would do as well. What a beauty. So thanks again for joining me on Lot 76 Cars at the Brooklands Motorsport Day. Hope you've enjoyed the event, hope you've enjoyed the cars we've seen here today. Please like, share, subscribe, click on notifications so to be informed of my next video, and once again, as always, thanks for watching. Is the tax really in the post for this RS 500 Sierra Cosworth?